I myself, I myself was in a residential school as a baby, and I don't have much memory of being in a residential school except for the day school, which is similar to being in residential school. Not quite similar, but kind of similar.
But I remember you were telling me that now they don't have residential school, but it's more like welfare, like, kids.
Oh, it's a child welfare system.
Yes.
It's
So now that's
it's
what.
going into the, yes, the same thing with residential school of the police or what, or the nuns and priests going into the homes to take the children and putting them in a residential school. Now they're going into the homes of mothers and fathers, taking them out of their home and putting them into foster homes, non-indigenous homes, a lot of them.
And you were telling me they are usually kids are bribed in a way by
Yes.
telling them.
If the kids want to go home, they will say, what they told my children was, don't you want to have your own bedroom? Don't you want to have all these nice clothes? Don't you want to have your own brand new clothes? All the nice things I could not provide. They see, my two daughters were adopted by a well-off family. The mother is a dentist, and the father. Oh, I gotta go get my cat. Sorry.
It's okay. So while we are waiting for Iris, you all heard Iris's experience. She didn't live in the residential school, but she was a product, meaning her elder siblings were in the residential school. So
Oh,
yes,
sorry.
please continue.
Yeah, and they were adopted out because the child welfare gives the parents, in my time anyways, in the 80s and late or early 90s, a 2-year period to clean up your act, and that is and that was and I didn't make it. I didn't make that 2-year period. So then they automatically put them up for adoption. And they were adopted by a woman who is a dentist, and the father is a lawyer. And they know the ins and outs of the system, especially for the man being a lawyer. And my daughters were taken that way. And they told lies about me to my children. Even in my own child welfare file, in my child file, they were told lies about me in there, and they didn't even know me in my own file.
So do your daughters now meet you, or you don't?
Yes, well, all my children resent me because of the system and because of my own behavior of trauma, of the addiction that I was in, of alcohol and marijuana. I hurt my children too. I physically beat up my son, and he was adopted out also. And the lawyer told me to plead not guilty because it was my first offense. But in my heart, I am guilty because I hurt my son. So I said, I am guilty. So I went to jail. And after that, I continued to drink. I continued to beat myself up through addiction for what I did. And I didn't understand why I could not be the mother I wanted to be to my children, because I was not parented as a child. I was taken from the hospital and put into the residential school and then put into the welfare system, back and forth. I never had stability in my life until today. And I'm 54.
And I think that a lot we can say that a lot of people from your background, or from your like from where you are, they've probably gone through similar experiences you have.
Like my siblings?
Yes.
Yes, they all of them were in residential school. My mother was pregnant 19 times.
Yes, you.
She was terribly abused by my father, and like I had told you before, it was a loveless marriage.
Yes.
And she delivered 14 children. and 5 miscarriages due to the abuse, due to the living in the bush. And in the bush, you work hard in the bush, and especially for a woman being alone there with all these children. She miscarried 5 times, and I'm the baby out of all of them. And everything that that my siblings experienced was taken out on me. And I did not know why, because I was raised in white foster homes. They told me, oh, you're just like a white man, you're like a white man. And so because I was told that by my own family, I didn't like who I was. And then now, and I'm living in a white foster home, they say you're an Indian. So I didn't like being an Indian. I didn't know where I fit, where I belonged. And I didn't know, so I just drank. I just drank because I was hurting, and I didn't understand why was I hurting, because I was not accepted in the white world. I was not accepted in my own world.
So I have this question, which has always been one of, I think I asked you that question before also, but coming back to the experience of living in the residential school, we are waiting for James. I have come across it. There's a stereotype where it is said that natives or indigenous people usually drink a lot.
Oh yeah. Yes.
So do you think it's because of how their childhood was, and because most of them lived in the residential schools, so they want to kind of block away that memory?
That, and being in the system, we were ostracized. The first Prime Minister, John Macdonald, I will not even bother calling him sir. His agenda was to take the Indian out of us, to I guess colonize us, so that we wouldn't be an Indian anymore, because we are one with the land. We are the keepers of the land. I told you before that most of the women are keepers of the water. Remember that picture?
Yes.
On the building? Yeah, that's because it's because we are water keepers.
But Iris, just so that everyone knows, from everything that has happened in the world in the past year and what's going on currently around the world, I think it's safe to say we can't say that a particular land is ours. I think the whole world is made for everyone to live peacefully and happily.
Yeah.
Because I remember when we when we were speaking to James earlier, it's kind of stuck with me, was that
caretakers of the land.
Yes, and we don't take away anything back, right? When we die, we just die, right? We won't take our house, or we won't take all the jewelry or the clothes or whatever we have. We are dead, we are finished, we are buried in the ground.
Yeah.
So for us to be fighting over land and ethnicity, or discriminating one another because of who we are, it's so silly now.
When the first people came here, they are the ones that said that we're gonna put dividers here and like to take this. And we said, why are you doing this? Like, we did not say the land belongs to us. They said it belongs to them. So that's why we said no. That's not the way. We were willing to share. If it wasn't for us, the first people that came here, the first settlers would have been dead, but we went and took care of them. And we gave them food, we nursed them back to health.
So coming back, because
about James is here, so he can better answer.
Coming back to residential school, because our topic is on about it. When did this residential school start? Like, how long ago?
How long ago, Jimmy?
Over 100 years ago.
Over 100 years ago.
And when did it end? Like, when was the last?
1996. 1996, they closed the last school.
Oh my God, that was a long time.
That was, yeah, oh yeah, 1996. That's not long ago.
And for, like James said, for those 100 years or for many years, children were abused in not taken care of. And of course, I
No.
want to hear
There
James.
were,
Hi, James.
there were priests, the priests, they fathered babies with when they raped the girls in the residential school, the girls got pregnant, they gave birth to a baby, they'll take the baby and throw them away in a furnace. Burn them up, kill them, maybe go out and kill them. And that's how we were thought of as nothing. As just, till this day, they call us drunks, like what you said, drunks, you know?
Yes, and that's why I want to change that image. And I mean, you know, I hope your younger generation can somehow change this image and make it, you know, what you guys want to be.
It's accountability. If the government and the people can say, well, we have done this wrong, we apologize. The Pope, even just yesterday, the Pope, he said, I'm so sad about this happened, but he still didn't apologize. Pope Francis, if you watch the news, it said that he feels saddened, but he didn't say,
I'm sorry.
No apology, no accountability. And if people like you even said drunk, if you take accountability, that was your own thinking because of what you see, you believe. That's like, you know.
And I feel, honestly, from my personal experience, let's say, I am not going to judge, I don't judge people, but I know that's what stereotypically it is said, and I thought I would bring it up because we are candid here, and I want to get the truth out. I don't want to sugarcoat anything, or I don't want to, I want people to know as is. That's why I'm asking you guys to tell your story. And James, since you lived in the residential school, I would like you to walk us through the day. Like, what was a regular day for you?
Can't hear it? All the way, volume's all the way.
Oh,
no, you guys are coming fine. Don't worry.
The Canadian Federal Residential Schools began in 1883, but can be traced far back as 1830. That's over 100 years. And like she said, the last one closed 1996. So I don't know if you want me to tell my story again like I did yesterday, or.
Yeah, I want to know, like, when you, I mean, if you can just walk us through your day, like, what did you do when you woke up? And just briefly tell us, how was it? Like, what was the experience?
Well, like I said, I went in, I was 1966 is when I went in. And I came out of there in 1971, I think. So I spent approximately 5 years in the residence school. Before that, most of the time we spent our lives out in the bush, and most of my siblings were all in residential school when I came along, and so I spent a lot of time alone with my grandparents who raised me, and my sister Sally and my brother Joe were already in there, and the rest had already come and gone in and out of there already. So being out in the bush without any other children to play with, so it was kind of lonely. So I played with my puppies and stuff like that, you know, and I knew like they would come home during Christmas and the summer, right? And they might come in, not all the time, because we did have a house in Fort Chipewyan too. So anyway, I was always happy. I remember always being happy and excited to see them. They come out in the bush with us, and then they're gone again, back to school.
But what was your day like?
Pardon me?
What was your day like when you were in the residential school?
Yeah, I want to get to that. I'm going to just give you a brief. So I went in, I was excited to go in. I was looking forward to go in, remember? And because I thought that I was going to be with Sally and Joe. But when I got in there, they were led away to a different area. And I was led away to the small boys' room. And there was about, I don't know, 40 or what, 50 other boys in there by these nuns. And basically, the first thing they did was they took our clothes away from us, and any food we had, like dry meat, dry fish, they took it away from us. Bannock, they took everything. Any food we had, they took it. And then they took off all, they took our clothes. I don't know what they did with them, but they gave them, they give us their own clothes. The next thing they did is they basically deloused us. They washed our hair, cut our hair, and deloused us. And then, so that was the beginning. And obviously, I didn't know who these other kids were. They were strangers to me because I hardly ever saw them. I did know a couple, like my buddy Jack, and that was virtually it. And then they give you a number. Mine was 42, and they give you like coveralls, clothes for school, clothes for play. They gave you your own towels, your own washcloths, your own toothbrush. I didn't know what a toothbrush was. It and everything was numbered, not your name, but everything was numbered. They gave you a jacket to play, and then a good jacket to go to school with. So everything was numbered, and you had a locker which was numbered. So everything was numbered. Okay, and I remember that about that first week, I was missing. I was first of all, I was really missing out because Joe and Sally, I didn't get to see them. So I was basically all alone there in this cold environment with these nuns. I didn't know they were really that wicked in the beginning. And then they gave me a guardian because I was a young boy and an older boy was my guardian. And I'll name him. His name is Ernest Gladue. And thank you for it. Every time today I see him, I call him my guardian. We just laugh, right? But I remember him. I'll get to that part. But then when we're all done, they march us all upstairs to the dorms. There was 3 floors. The top floor was our dormitory, where we all slept, and the middle floor apparently was a study area, supposedly, and the bottom floor was the player area. And then they had just off along the hallway, they had the dining room. Okay, so they all marched us upstairs, and they gave us a bed with a mattress, and then they gave us sheets with numbers on them and stuff like that. And they showed us how to make the beds. You had to tuck everything in just perfect, just a fine, just all lined up and everything. Unfortunately, today I still make my bed that way, and so. And then they gave us pajamas, of course. So we got to put on all our pajamas. And then before lights out, usually around 9, I think, usually 9 o'clock or whatever, or a little earlier. And then we all kneel down. And we kneel down on our bed right here beside our bed, and we lean put our hands, and she says a prayer and stuff like that. And she claps or whatever, everybody crawls into bed. And then they walk around each area, make sure everybody's sleeping on their side like this.
So you couldn't sleep, you had to sleep on your side like this.
With your hand like this. You can't have your hands under your blankets in case I don't know, they must have were playing with ourselves or something. I don't know, they were probably perverted nuns.
They were.
Well, they were, yeah. Anyway, you sleep on our side like this, and then she leaves. Her bedroom is right next to our dorm, so then she switches on the light, and then we go to sleep. And around 6 o'clock in the morning or something like that,
You come again
yeah, she comes in, she rings a bell or she claps, she switches the light on, yells everybody to get out of bed, and we can't even run to the washroom. We got to kneel down again, right, right beside our bed, and you got to say a prayer first. So we all there, and she says a prayer and all that. Then where everybody rushes to the washroom, and you got to line up. So we're all just standing like a long line, trying not to pee ourselves, right?
And you guys had times for using the toilet. Like you couldn't just use the toilet whenever you wanted. You had times, and you were given very few paper towels. I remember you told me.
Yeah, that's um, most of us in the morning. Where usually you just need a pee, right? And then we go pee. Then we go get our toothbrush, our little towels, and we brush our teeth or whatever, and we wash up. And if it's during the school day, we get into our school clothes and we got to wrap, you got to fold everything just neatly. Your pajamas, you got to fold them up, put them in a little, everything's got to be neatly. Then we go downstairs, we're all lined up, we go downstairs, and then we go into the dining room. Then we have breakfast. And breakfast, they had in the dining room, uh, uh, what do you call those? Tables on one side, tables on the other side. In the middle, they come in with their carts with food on it. And I remember it's either cereal, Kellogg's or whatever, and porridge. And if we're lucky during the week, we might have an egg or maybe bacon, or I don't know. But it was, and we just got enough just uh, to eat, right?
So
Uh,
do you remember an incident that happened with you in the residential school that even today you're like it gives you the creeps? Like, usually we hear that these priests or nuns, they abuse children. To what extent is that true?
wow, that's a loaded question. I could be here all night.
You can give us just like what you think, your view, your
Okay,
personal view.
so we just after our breakfast, stuff like that, we go into the playroom, right? And then people that need to go to the washroom, stuff like that, they'll give us toilet paper. They'll give us toilet paper, sometimes 2 or 3 sheets. But we learn over time that we always say number 2 so we can save our toilet paper for when we really need to go, right? Uh, so after that, and then they say we go get our coats or whatever. Our coats are downstairs. There's a coat room and all that, and with our number on it. So we go, then we line up, and then we all go to school for the day. At the end of the school day, usually 3 o'clock, 3:30, we come in, we go change into our play clothes, and they ship us outside, go play outside until supper. We don't call it dinner back then, we call it supper. And then they'll ring the cowbell to bring us all in, a cowbell. But that cowbell, I'll tell you, saved my life. Saved me one time. I'll explain that. Anyway, so we'll go in and we'll have supper and all that. After that, we do study. We go do study. If we have homework, we go up to the second floor. We study and stuff like that. And then after that, we have playtime, and before we go to bed. And then usually in the evening, before we go to our bed, go to sleep, you have showers and stuff like that. And this is they abused us in so many ways, different ways. You always had to watch out, watch yourself, and not only watch yourself from the nuns, but they also had rats in there. People that would tell on you if you tattletales, they call them. So you got to watch out for those too, right? So you got to be very careful. Like I was telling you yesterday that I learned how to hide in the crowd to stay away from trouble. Uh, anyway, so I remember this one day, I think it was Chris Durage. He got in trouble and then he had to go and I don't know what he did. I don't remember if it's in the morning. Maybe he peed his bed or something, but that nun threw him in the shower, a scalding hot shower. And I could just still to this day hear him screaming and crying, yelling out. And she kept pushing him right in the water. He was trying to get out. I still remember that. And those are just some atrocities. And then some people, I never peed the bed, thank God. But some people that peed the bed were those that peed the bed had to line up, and they all got a strap and stuff like that. And some of them will even line up and say throw the bed sheets on with the soiled bed sheets on them and stuff like that, right? So those are some of the things that we saw. And then anytime somebody got in trouble, sometimes all of us got the beating, got the strap and stuff like that. And I remember being slapped by Sister Gaio like this, right in my face like that. Oh, just hot. I still remember. And they had a nasty habit of pulling your ears. And if you got in trouble, they stick you against the wall with your nose. And sometimes they tell you to lift your feet, your heels up, and they'll stick little thumbtacks underneath, just so if you put your feet down, you'll get thumbtacks. And sometimes they'll make you squat against the wall. They make you squat and stay there. This is some of the punishment they did for us. But most time it was a strap or a ruler. And we usually have movies on Sundays. And if you
did you guys watch?
oh, whatever they fancy, it's scary movies, Tarzan, Cowboys and Indians. Of course, as boys, we always played Cowboys and Indians. And we're all Indians, but everybody wanted to be a cowboy. None of us wanted to be Indians because in the movies back then, all the Indians died in the movies. They were all shot off their horses and all that. So back then when I was a kid, Audie Murphy was a big hero, right? Audie Murphy, because he was in a lot of movies. So the movies, if you were bad the week, you got a little black mark in the book, eh? Number 42. If I get so many ticks or whatever, you don't go to the movie. I got in a fight there one time over dishes. Me and Raymond got you. Yeah, one of us got to wash the dishes, the other one's want to wipe. And neither one of us wanted to wash, we wanted to wipe. So I said, and then we had a little fight. We both got in trouble. And guess what? We got in trouble for the week. We had to go do extra chores. We had to go, we had to wash all the steps going down from the dorm all the way down by toothbrush, me and Raymond. And the whole week after school, we had to go do that. And we weren't allowed to go play outside. If we were in trouble, we had to stay inside. Wintertime wasn't too bad because at least we stayed warm. But sometimes they'll put us out there and it's really freaking cold outside. And like we'd freeze and stuff like that, right? You know.
So during your time, did you see that any kids went missing or like just out of the blue? Did you find that one day a certain kid was then he just went missing?
I didn't witness anybody going missing. Oh, my buddy Jack was also all of a sudden gone. I was wondering where he was. Apparently, they shipped him to Fort McMurray or Edmonton to have heart surgery, and he was gone for a few months. That's not my story. So no, I didn't see as far as people going missing. Now we're going to go into the sexual abuse.
Okay.
Okay. Like I said, then some nuns picked out some boys to be their pets or whatever. And at the night, she'd go and get them and take her in her room or somewhere after I don't know where she took them, but nobody said anything. Well, should I tell my story about that?
You don't need to
Okay.
take the name. You can just say this person.
Yeah. Anyway, and some of the bigger boys would sexually abuse the younger boys in there. And there's when the nuns out of the room, well, when the cat's out of the room, the mice would play, right?
Yeah.
So fortunately, when I fell asleep one night and I heard rustling by my bed, and I was awake. I was pretending to sleep, and I felt somebody fondling me and jerking me off, so to speak. And of course, well, as a young boy, you get excited. I didn't know whether it's a nun or it's another boy. That's the thing. But I had my whole eyes closed and pretended to sleep the whole time.
How old were you?
At that time, probably 7 or 8 years old. So
And that's, sorry.
yeah,
And that kind of stuff scars not only the victim, but the perpetrator, because it happened to the person. And then they grow up to be older, they carry that shame within. They carry the shame within, and it turns into anger. They're angry at what happened to them. They're angry at the churches, the religious institutions. That's what it was. And then they acted out on their family members.
True.
Yes, it passes down.
Of course.
yeah.
Yeah, like I was beaten by my family members, and then I in turn beat my son, and I didn't know well, I didn't understand why I did that. Then I became a mother at 15.
And I think because of all this happening and no one's saying anything while children are being abused, whether it's physically, emotionally, sexually, no one said anything or no one tried to talk to them. So I think to this day those kids carry that burden, and because they don't know how to express it or they don't know how to take it out, they usually take it out on their family or their loved ones who they know will take them. And
It's a learned helplessness and fear.
I'm going to add on to what she said.
please.
All our older siblings, not all of them, some of them, took the anger and the stuff they experienced in residential school home after they left their residential school. And they got into the alcohol. There wasn't much drugs back in that day, but a lot into the alcohol. And when they were drank, they took out their anger on family, and in some cases, abused their own family members, sexually abused them and stuff like that. So going back to the residential school, I was also sexually abused by an older boy, not from the residential school. This person was all from outside the residential school. And back in the day, they called the boys and girls from outside, they called them extrants.
But why would they come to the residential school if they won't?
They're not allowed to come there, but on the outskirts, right beside the residential school, they have fuel tanks or oil tanks for that. And then there's the school over there. I got lured because I knew this older boy. He was from my area, and he lured me into it. Around those tanks is in case it spilled, they have a wall. It's so high, right? They can't. Well, he lured me in there and sexually abused me in there.
I'm so sorry.
got me to do things like I've already explained this during the Truth and Reconciliation, and thank God for that cowbell. It rang, and I just said, I gotta go, and that cowbell saved me at that time. So I already as part of the, and they call it IAP in the during the residential independent assessment process, where we're talking about severe abuse. So I told my story there. I got compensated, and the compensation they gave us, that 10 and 3, the people, they didn't get enough to even buy a vehicle, just measly. And the only way you're going to get more money if you were sexually abused and stuff like that, right? So people, then we had to go through the trauma, re-traumatized by telling our stories.
Of course.
In front of an adjudicator and some lawyers representing Canada and a lawyer representing me. And we had to go through that. Fortunately, I worked as part of the Working Residence School. So I helped a lot of fellow residential school survivors through the process.
So I have a question.
I was denied compensation.
Sorry?
I was denied residential school compensation
Can
because
you speak louder?
I was denied the residential school compensation because it did not happen on a school day. They don't deny that it happened, but it was on a weekend. They said it was not during a school day or a school event. So I was denied. And I went through all that, reliving that.
Trauma.
Yeah. And the thing I got compensated for the abuse that happened inside the residential school. But I was denied a boy sexually abusing me in those tanks, or which were right beside the residential school. And the whole area is all part of the residential school. So anyway.
What about gambling? Was gambling a result of living in the residential school?
What kind of gambling? Like casinos and bingos? Well, of course, bingos. Guess who taught us how to play bingo? The nuns. Bingo was taught to actually came out of residential school in the communities. And I still remember playing bingo and winning a set of toy guns in residential school. I'll never forget that. It was first time, probably last time I ever won something. But now when people are traumatized, they do a lot of things that they get into a lot of addictions, and gambling is one of them. Sexual addiction, drugs, alcohol, shopping, anything, right? So they don't really have to deal with the stuff that's inside them. Fortunately, as I got older, I'm a counselor myself, alcohol and drugs, also a trauma counselor. And I've worked with a lot of people. I heard a lot of stories throughout my career. So the most survivors, I say most, probably all, maybe all, but most survivors, because of the environment in there, they're always on high alert. There is a stressful environment. They controlled by fear. For one thing, fear of God, fear of the devil, that duality, the way they see things. So all this stuff that we experienced in there, we carried into our adulthood. And we're as adults, we become vigilant. We don't trust. We put walls up. We don't let anybody in. And most, which is the saddest part, a lot of people lost their childhood in there, right? I, for one, uh, couldn't laugh for a lot of years. I couldn't have a belly laugh just out loud because I was, ridiculed, not only in residential school, but in my family,
Why?
ridiculed.
But why?
That's the thing.
The pain.
It's, it became shameful, right? But with the trauma and all the pain and living in fear, I couldn't have a good belly laugh. Now, yeah, with all the healing, I can laugh now. I make people laugh, right? I joke and one of the things I feared other people's anger
Oh, yeah.
because they were bigger than me. If I got angry, I can show my anger to get even angrier at me, right? So I learned to fear other people's anger. Basically, a lot of us, we lost touch with our inner spirit. And when children are traumatized, is believed by the elders, they say parts of their spirit leave. They leave. Some even go to the spirit world, they say. Back in the day, they actually had trained medicine people to go and retrieve these parts so a person could be whole again. So it takes a lot of work, to, like, for me to laugh again. People will be just laughing around me, and I'm just there just quietly.
But so this is all what you have been through in the residential school. Now, as someone who's come out of it and someone who is a counselor, what do you expect now? It's out in the open. Everyone knows what happened in the residential schools. People have found bodies of children. So what do you want, like, what do you need for to kind of heal? Sometimes you just need something as simple as saying that I'm sorry for what happened.
Okay, I want to tell a little story before I answer your question.
Sure.
When I was in grade 5, I was already out of the residential school already. There was a little white boy and one of the teacher's boys. We were all playing in the hills, playing, I don't know. And we decided to take a break and we said, there's a road going, the residential school's right here, right beside is a church and right beside his father's house. And over here they have barns and stuff like that and storage shacks or whatever. And there's a road that goes right up into what they call the Mission Creek, right? And we used to slide down that road. We used to ski down that road, and we play in those hills, cowboys and Indians, and all this stuff, right? Anyway, this little boy and I went and sat down, and I just happened to look down, and I saw a hair sticking out. So I didn't know whether it was hair or what. At the beginning, I thought maybe it might be grass or something, but it was black. So I pulled on it. I started digging. Next thing you know, I think I found a jawbone and other little bones there, right? And of course, me and Drew were like Indiana Jones, hey, archaeologists or whatever, right? We're young boys. We're just excited with our find. Well, let's go take it to a science teacher, which is Lloyd Gilbo, right? So we took it to him, took it to his house, and we found out. He looks at them and says, just put him in the porch. I'll take care of him. And he didn't want to. Anyway, no, we left. Never heard nothing about it ever since. I mentioned it to a couple of people back. One of them was even, I think one was the counselor, another one was the chief, former chief. I mentioned nothing, nothing come out of it. I would say they didn't want, So anyway, to go back to your question. Okay. Today, like quit, personally, this is for me, quit playing around with our pain, our trauma. The government, they know what we need to heal. Let us heal us. Okay. Now they found 215 bodies, children's bodies in Kamloops. And I'm sure they're going to find a whole bunch in all these other places, including my home community of Fort Chippewa, the Holy Angels Residence School. Just today, I talked to a lady, her and another girl, they saw one of the brothers, Brother Viet, they call him, and another brother or somebody carrying a little body behind a barn somewhere over there. They witnessed it. That's what they shared with me today. Yeah, they're elders now. So I ask also, instead of giving us a little bit of money and say, oh, you need this to heal a little, no amount of money is going to heal. If you really want to compensate us to help us heal, there's two things. One, give enough money for that. Give enough money for the community to heal. Let the community heal itself. Second, you talk about reconciliation today. It's like our treaties. It's one-sided. They call us treaty Indians. The white people, the non-natives, they're also treaties. Treaty whites, treaty British, or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
And the same thing with resident school, reconciliation. Let it be a part of the school system. I think they're doing it now, but let it be told to like rewrite the history. This shit is really happening, and it's still happening today in regards to the children now. They still have it, but they're called welfare. What's it called?
Welfare.
Child welfare, where they snatch our children and stuff like that and raise them in foster homes. Still happening. Okay. The other part is for the non-natives to learn about this. It's part of our history, right? And a big one, of course, the Pope needs to come over here. I challenge you to come and face us.
Yeah.
Instead of freaking hiding out in your little holy Vatican, come and face us.
Nothing holy about you.
There's nothing. I don't believe in you guys over there. You're a bunch of pedophiles and liars and thieves and stuff like that. Come and cheer to Canada. Apologize to go travel around to the communities, Mr. Pope, and say, I'm sorry.
Be accountable for what you've done wrong. You
Right.
call us savages and sinners? No, look in the mirror, Pope, and be
Yeah.
accountable for what you've done to our nation and continue to do to the nation.
Now, if we were white people, okay, there's some white people that were molested by priests. They got millions and millions of dollars of compensation, these people. Us guys, what we get? $10,000 and $3,000 every year. And maybe you're lucky if somebody went to the IAP, might have got 100,000, if that, right? And then we got to retell our stories.
Even myself, I didn't know. But today was a healing day for me. I was able to ask for forgiveness from my elders because I was bitter towards my elder siblings, and the elders that I seen that were verbally abusive, that hurt other people with their words, because they were hurting inside, and I knew that in my mind that's why they were. But today it went into my heart, where I actually felt their pain, because I'm in pain too, and I'm just starting my journey as I have much more to heal from. And now I was willing, and I have forgiven the elders, because now I know the deep pain that they went through, and they don't know why they're filled with such anger and stuff. It's because of and there's no accountability. We have to be accountable for the things we did to our children. Like, I'm accountable for what I've done to my son, what I've done through addiction to my own children. I take accountability and I own up to that. And when I am an elder, I will do it for the younger generation so they can heal and say, I'm sorry I hurt you. Please forgive me.
So, how about, since the interview is running a bit late, too long, we can end up by saying that what you need is accountability.
For myself.
We all gotta be responsible ourselves for our
Yes.
own.
I mean, and if we all take that.
One of the things that are come out of after effects of being in residence school, a lot of us lost our identity. Okay. Well, also a lot of us lost the ability to be mothers and fathers. A lot of us turned to alcoholism and drugs and stuff like that. And we neglected our own children like I did and stuff like that. Right. And so they grow up without a father virtually. So the pain, the hurt passes on, and it passes on to our children, probably their grandchildren. It's deep rooted. So we have to not only heal presently, but intergenerationally as well. Okay. So instead of the powers that be, the governments, like, get out of the way. If you want to do anything, put enough money. They're planning on going and doing the underground radar back home in Fort Chippewa. I spoke to my chief today. I says, if you need my help, I'm available. I'll be part of the reclamation team or whatever, the search team or whatever, if you need me. And the government's saying, okay, we're going to do it. I told him, I says, don't let them do it. Those are our children. Let us go find them ourselves.
Yeah.
Those that are lost.
And for
Well,
myself,
on that note,
for myself, for my own healing, even though there has not been an apology by the Pope, there has been an apology by Harper. I accept that apology from myself, and I offer the forgiveness. I offer the forgiveness for my own healing. As if I didn't forgive, I would forever carry that bitterness in me. And I just want that bitterness to be broken to me and my children, my grandchildren, and all future generations.
and you
So-
want to move on.
Yeah, so we can heal. And I want to forgive myself before not knowing why I was the way I was.
So on that note, I would like to thank you both for sharing such, heartfelt stories. I mean, they sure touched my heart. And I don't know if it matters, but I would like to apologize. Somehow if that makes a difference to you guys, but I will try my best to share your voices as far as I can, and hopefully if we unite together, regardless of who we are, we can change this world and make it better for our children and their children. So instead of being divided, let's walk together and hold hands and move forward rather than going backwards.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I won't take much of your Sunday. It's a beautiful weather. Enjoy. And please smile. And I know it's hard, but the past is past. You're living, you're strong, you're healthy. And hopefully things become better in the future.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Maishi, for making time for us.
No. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.